Okay, this is now the tarot Q&A, question and answer number 9. And today it was going to be about the horoscope spread, but I want to tell you a couple of things that will, I think, make reading cards an awful lot easier. I had this thought a while ago, but it came up recently. So I've got some notes here. So let me talk at you for maybe 10 minutes. But I think it's quite interesting what I'm about to say. And I think you'll enjoy it. So let's say there's you knowing what you know about cards, and you've got some ideas about what the card might mean. Then you turn a card, and you remember a previous meaning or a meaning that you read somewhere. But the problem is it doesn't work with this particular question at this time. So you come up with some other interpretation or some other meaning, but then you think, am I making this up? Or is the meaning that I came up with today contradicting what I thought before? But the idea of the meaning from before didn't make sense for this particular card. So, and it can be that you begin to doubt. So I'd like to look at how to handle situations where you're unsure about what a card is about. So, as an example, a few videos ago, I mentioned the devil reverse being, and I said to the person, don't live life backwards, because DEVIL, backwards, is LIVED. Then in my horoscope spread that I started, or I got, I think in video number 6 of this series, I got the devil reversed in the house of the self. So it occurred to me, why didn't I tell myself to stop living life backwards when I got the devil reversed in the house of self? Because instead I said, when you make small mistakes, don't beat yourself up. Learn from it. Understand that it's to remind you of something you'd forgotten, and then move on. So, are they contradictory? Or why didn't I repeat the recent interpretation of the devil reversed as stop living life backwards? And the answer I'd like to give you is, we know that 5 plus 5 equals 10, right? But there are many ways of arriving at the number 10, 4 and 6, 3 and 7, 8 and 2, 1 and 9, and so on. We can also get 10 by dividing 20 by 2, right? So we can think that 2 and 3 and 4 and so on and 5 are in some way the properties or the building blocks or the can't think of the other word, whatever the word might be, so that these numbers 2, 3, 4, 5 are parts of or building blocks that can be associated with the number 10. And we don't mind when I'm talking about numbers and 5 is 10 and 8 and 2 is 10. We don't mind or object that there are many different ways of arriving at the number 10. We just accept it. And so what I want to say is, when it comes to the meaning of a card or the interpretation we give for a card, we ought not to object to the fact that there's more than one way of presenting the information or giving the answer to the question, or there's more than one way of looking at the same card. And we ought not to mind. So I wrote down, let's say we've got the devil card. What are the properties, or what are the factors, or what are the building blocks, or what are some other word so that we end up with the devil, right? So we're thinking about what makes up the devil and the experience that somebody will have of the devil card. So I wrote down ideas. What sort of ideas does a devil card point to or show or speak about or indicate or whatever the word might be. So if you look at the card, the man and the woman are chained. So the devil, one of the ideas of the devil card can be limitation. So when the devil card comes up, you may be, remember there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, they all add up to 10. So you may be dealing with limitation. So when the devil card comes up, let's say in the future, things are not, you're not going to be as free as you might want to be. You're going to have to deal with limitation, with restriction as well, or with the inability to move far or to move much, because the man and woman can actually move a bit. So it's not like they're trapped. Well, they are kind of trapped, but it's not like they're pinned down. And I wrote like the Four of Swords, which shows the person lying flat on his back, maybe asleep, but he's on this stone plinth or whatever it is. He's kind of stuck. But with the devil, you can move a bit. So you have some leeway with the devil card that you maybe don't have in the same way with the Four of Swords. Or maybe with the devil card, because the devil is on top of the cube or the half cube, the devil card can show that you're controlled by other people or controlled by circumstances or controlled by conditions. So let's say the devil appears in the future. It means that with the devil appearing in the future, you can know the experience that you're going to have, but you won't automatically know the form, is the word that I wrote down, the form that the experience is going to take. So you know you're going to be limited and restricted in the future, but you, the reader, may not know how this restriction or limitation is going to come. But you don't need to know. You just need to alert the questioner to the fact that in the future there will be limitations, there will be restrictions. So don't go into the future thinking everything is wonderful and it's all going to be easy. You go into the future and then you have to learn how to maybe make do without something, or to come up with an alternative because the one that you're going with at the moment isn't going to work out the way you want. There will be restrictions. So if you tell the questioner there will be limitations, then the questioner, when the limitations occur, the questioner is going to recognize what's going on. So if you've got the devil, come up with or think about the ideas connected with the devil card, and then wonder and maybe make some notes about stories you might like to tell about the idea of being restricted or being limited. And there's one example I can give you is there was a fellow who he invented this incredible device, but he needed a ton of money, like $200,000, to do research and develop it. And he went to see investors, and the investors liked the invention, but the person got the devil in the future because he wanted to know how the meeting would go. So the investors would have been happy to go with him, but they wanted proof first that his invention would sell. And they said, if you can sell 20 copies of this invention, then we'll back you. So there were limitations that the person had to deal with or experience in order for him to have the success that he wanted. So that's the devil. Limitation, restriction, control of other people, or controlled by other people. But it's a different story with the sun, because you look at the sun, you've got the child on the horse, and it's freedom, enjoyment, pleasure, sunshine, innocence, because it's a child, young, youthfulness. And think about when you were 10 or 11. When you're young and 15, you have a very different expectation and a different way of looking at or understanding obstacles. Because in a lot of ways, when you're 15, you think you're invincible and that nothing bad will ever happen to you. Whereas when you're older, maybe you're wiser, or maybe you've become cynical. But it can be why young 18-year-olds drive too fast because they think they'll never crash. Okay, so the sun, the ideas that go with the sun are things like freedom, enjoyment, pleasant weather, outside activity, movement, and so on. Whereas with the devil, it's restriction, indoors. Maybe when you're the devil, you can't see far because it's dark, or because you're indoors and you can't see through walls. Whereas with the sun card, by contrast, you can see for miles. So you can see more clearly into the distant future, whereas with the devil you can't. Okay, so the other point I'd like to make is that I was talking about 5 and 5 is 10. If you add 9 and 19, you don't get anywhere near 10. So in the same way, some ideas belong with some cards, and they definitely don't belong with other cards. So restriction and limitation belong with the devil, but not so much a happy marriage. Somehow the happy marriage, it can go with the sun, okay, but happy marriage belongs with cards other than the devil. So if somebody wants to know, am I going to have a happy marriage, and the devil comes up, you've got some work to do. It doesn't mean no, but it does mean you've got certain conditions and situations that you have to deal with and maybe adapt to or work out. Then there's a chance of a happy marriage. Whereas, am I going to be happily married? And the sun card comes up, sure, it's sort of in place and you'll naturally fall into it. Whereas with the devil, it's not already in place and you've got some work to do first. So if the answer is the devil, you know the outcome or the future condition, but you know the type of experience you're going to have, being chained, trapped, under the control of other people, limited, restricted, it's dark, and so on. So you know the type of experience the person's going to have, but you don't know the form that the limitation or the restriction is going to take. But tell them the type, tell the question of the type of experience, and let them figure out the form. It's a bit like if I say to you, build me a table, and you say, okay. So I know that, let's say a month from now, I'm going to have a table, but I don't know if it's going to be made of wood or metal, if it's going to be blue or white or red, if it's going to have legs or 4 legs or 3 legs or 8 legs. So I know I'm going to end up with a table, but I don't know what form it's going to take. In the same way, I know I'm going to end up with the devil, but I don't know what form the restriction is going to take. And the other thing, the last point I made was, we don't know the form, let's say, the restriction is going to take, but the thing is, it might take more than one form. So you know there's going to be limitation. Talk about what kind of limitation it might be. Most of the time, you're going to be close to it or accurate. But the thing is, the limitation may take more than one form. So talk about limitation and give some examples of the form it might take. This is with the devil. And then let the questioner have the experience, but you've told them what to watch out for with the devil. With the devil, or you've told them what to look forward to, if it's the sun, or some other card of happiness or ultimate joy, whatever it happens to be. Okay, so next will be the horoscope spread again, a bit more. But I've been paying attention to comments that people have left, so I'm sort of adjusting the way that I'm going to present the third part of the horoscope spread. But if you remember, I began this with ready, fire, aim. So I've been firing, and now with the next video, I'm going to figure out what the aim should be. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in a few days or a couple of days. Okay, bye-bye.